Yes, I know.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Works out by Burke. Passes into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Welcome in. It is Tuesday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the fine folks at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Make sure you go to andymorehonda.com. Choose your vehicle. Huge price cuts on Hondas this month. You can compare from multiple dealers, get the lowest price. And you can order and wait for your Honda to come in right now. andymorehonda.com. Welcome aboard, man. Kevin Brockway's with us. Hey, are you, KB?
How are they doing with the chips, the microprocessors? They had a big thing on 60 Minutes about that with the cars and stuff. And there were some delays in shipments. And I know
wasn't
friend Adam York
one factory burnt down? I mean, how can one factory be allowed to control the automotive industry like that?
Yeah, in Arizona, it's like all the microprocessors and stuff like that. But hey, it's football. Let's talk about game week, right? We got Iowa coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely, man. I am looking forward to it. I did a show last night, and of course, you don't look at it from this way, but I cover Indiana, and I'm most familiar with Indiana. I'm not as familiar with what Iowa has right now. I mean, to a degree, but they're looking at it from the opposite way, and they're fully expect a good game, but they fully expect to win. And I'm like, I have the complete opposite view. I think it's going to be a good game, but I fully expect Indiana to win. Now, is that biased? Yeah, there's probably a little bias, but it's only because I cover Indiana more. But it's going to be a tough route to get through. And we'll look at the great stat that Iowa has, that they have not allowed more than 25 points in a game for like 2 years in 21 games. So I think that gets broken in Iowa City.
Yeah, that would be something if they were able to do that. I think that, and certainly Indiana has the offense to do it, with Michael Penick healthy, him obviously, making it through the game and making it through the season. But, you've got him, you've got Ty Flyfogle. We'll see what Stephen Carr can bring to the running game. All reports are that he's a pretty dynamic back. But you got to see it happen in game action for sure. But I think that, I think there's a possibility. I mean, but Indiana, I think Big Ten road game early in the season, you're going to have to play, an A to B game with your talent level to win. You can't afford a C game or lower. You can't make mistakes. You can't, have a bunch of missed tackles. Like if you remember 2 years ago against Ball State. I mean, I think the run defense needs to be on par with what it was last year against Penn State in the COVID opener. You got to really contain Goodson and, make Petrus beat you.
Oh yeah, there's no start off, and I talked about that. Iowa has lately gotten off to slow starts. It wrecked their season last year, losing the opening 2 games by I think a combined 5 points. So it can really impact, especially you open up with a conference foe. It impacts your season because that counts against your conference record. And it's a top 20 matchup. You're going to have, although not many people are talking about this game, which outside of Indiana and Iowa, not a lot of people talking about this game, which is surprising, but not surprising. It's surprising because this is a quality top 20 matchup in week 1. And it's Indiana. So they're like, it's Indiana. I truly feel that that's how it's looked at by a lot of the outside people. They still don't trust Michael Penix's health. They don't trust Indiana. Yeah. So Indiana really, in my opinion, needs to go down. They don't have to go down there and put 50 points up and do all that. They just need to go down there and win that game. I don't care if it's 14-7. They just need to go beat Iowa at Iowa, and that'll shut the people up. It's like, yeah, there's no more of this, no fan stuff and all that stuff. Get that out of the way early. And so that's not one of the mantras that's on your back all season.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that, it's obviously a huge game for momentum purposes. But I think if you go up there and you even lose and it's competitive, you don't want to get blown out. If you lose and it's competitive and then you bounce back and you come back home and you win the next two and beat Cincinnati, your season is still okay. You still have a lot in front of you that you can accomplish. But I think that's the main thing. You go up there week one, you want to play as close to your A game as possible. And if you can do that, I think you've got a good shot of winning up there, because you've got, I think, it's crazy to think about this. Like, you wouldn't think about this 2, 3, 4 years ago, but Indiana's got more talent than Iowa. Iowa does have the one, All-American, first team All-American preseason, the center, Tyler Linderbaum. But, you take a look at Indiana's 2 on defense, and then you take a look at the fact that Indiana returns most of its secondary, which had 17 interceptions. Iowa does too, and they had 11 interceptions. So it'll be a big game for Penick, and it'll be a game too where, and obviously I asked yesterday about, it's one thing to come back from an injury, but how are you going to perform? Are you going to be able to trust the leg? Are you going to be able to make all the throws that you made before the injuries? And all accounts are he's doing that. From what we saw in camp, he looked like he had the same zip on his ball that he did before he left. But, when the live bullets come flying, it's going to be completely different for sure. So I think that that's going to be interesting to see too with Mike, just how can he get into a rhythm? Can he, establish himself and avoid mistakes, obviously, because like Indiana, Iowa's got a little ball hawking tendencies to him on defense and in that secondary.
Iowa apparently has the most interceptions in the BCS in the last 3 or 4 seasons, I believe, which that's pretty good for a team that you wouldn't think faces a ton of passing games. Although you do play against Purdue and Minnesota over there in the West. That's a little surprising. A team in the Big Ten West leading the country in interceptions. I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, over the last 4 years, obviously. So they're very similar to Kirk Ferentz, also a veteran coach, stability. If you remember last year and last offseason, in addition to COVID, there was a lot of good morning, by the way, Jesse, but there was a lot of problems in terms of questioning the culture there. The strength and conditioning coach was fired. There were questions as to whether the coaches were being biased and too hard on certain players and players of a certain race. And this year they seem to have gotten over that, and there seems to be a little more unity in that program than there was last year. That's another interesting aspect too. And that might have contributed to their 0-2 start. That and, breaking in a first-year quarterback in Spencer Petras, who, Kirk Ferentz admitted didn't really have, the proper preparation to go into the season. Now he's in the second year, so he's going to be a little more experienced.
We will be doing something for the Idaho game. We'll be doing something for every game. But we'll get that out when we get closer to that. And actually, we're going to have some tickets to give away for the Idaho game. So we'll have all kinds of fun for that. Alan asking about Noah Clowney. We'll get to that when we get to basketball later. What's up? And Creek Walker with us as well. Was last night's show recorded on YouTube? I'm not sure what he's talking about.
He's referring to the show you guested on. It wasn't a show hosted by Jim. It was a show that he guested on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'll have to go look. It's not worth. The guy from Iowa didn't. I was ready to get up and get at it. But there was no good stuff. So it wasn't very. Not very fun. Not much. No classic Jim in there. I was ready for it, man. I thought that there would be get some fireworks, but didn't happen. Ross says both teams are good on special teams. You could see that being the difference maker. Hey, man, in a game like that, anything is a difference maker. Ask Scott Frost and Nebraska. And man, it's so easy to always bring him up. But didn't they fumble a kickoff on the goal line? Was that a kickoff or a punt?
Safety. Yeah, it was a punt. Cam Britt, ended up backpedaling into the end zone. He should have just let it bounce. And then he was in the end zone and his knee was kind of down. He lost his momentum and he threw the ball out of the end zone thinking that would be classified as a forward fumble, but it didn't work out. And they gave him the safety on that. So yeah, and David Ellis, questionable going into the game, kick returner. So that's something that, but you do have, DJ Matthews, who's a pretty dynamic guy. I'm sure they can move him and return kicks. And even Stephen Carr, apparently, at USC has experience as a kickoff returner. So field position will be big.
Tim asked, do you think Indiana will remember Iowa's athletic director, Gary Barta, as the reason for IU not making a pick six? Well, that's not really the reason. The real reason is because they didn't beat Ohio State. So there's that. And no, are you talking about the players? No, I promise you, half or 3/4 of the players do not know who Gary Barta is, and they don't care who Gary Barta is. They're going to Iowa to beat Iowa. They're going to Iowa to win a Big Ten football game. They're going to Iowa to win their opening football game. They're going to Iowa to simply win. That kind of noise and ridiculousness that's for fans. That is for the fans to chirp about. I mean, I talked about it, but no, that will have zero impact on this game on the field as far as the players. Earmuffs and blinders, man. These guys live, breathe, eat, and sleep that. Earmuffs and blinders. I'm telling you, they are focused on the task at hand.
You don't think Tom Allen in the locker room will be like, and this guy didn't believe in us, you know what I mean? And we were a one-loss team, and Iowa State was 2-loss team, and they got in ahead of us in the BCS 6 or whatever,
No, not that he's not capable of using motivational tools. No, I don't think so, because again, that goes back to, Indiana should have beaten Ohio State. You can go back all day long with that argument. So no, that's not one that Tom Allen will use. It just doesn't have any relevance to the players, I don't think. But you made it irrelevant in that way. But no, I just don't see any form or fashion of that coming in. Like I said, 3/4 of these players don't know who he is, so they don't care. They just want to beat Iowa. It's a Big Ten. You don't need any more motivation. Hell, you're going on the road in the Big Ten. It's football season. There will be fans in the stands. I don't think you need any more motivation other than simply winning. Winning's winning, man.
Iowa still has those like pink locker rooms, apparently, for the visiting. They do that. They do these little mind games and stuff and everything. Yeah, it's interesting culture over there.
We'll get to a predicted score. We'll let Kevin give his at the end. I'll save mine for the end of the week. But I do have a score in mind, though. It came to me last night. So right. We'll get on that. Hey, it's time to take a break. We'll do that. And we've got plenty more on the program today. We'll get to talk to Mike DeCourcy's on assignment this week, so he's busy. But we're going to try to talk to Mitchell Page while he's on the golf course. Chronic Hoosier will be along with us as well. Plenty more. Noah Clowney, of course, had his visit in. We'll talk about that. And back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the great folks at AndyMooreHonda.com. Go set up and get your Honda ready to come on in. We'll be back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether what are you doing today?
Me?
Yes.
I am, what am I call it? We got to get interviews at 11:15, so we got to hustle right after the show is over. I got to hustle to get to the stadium. And then I've got 2 stories to write. one on Deshaun McCullough, and then also I'm going to do a thing. I have the Big Ten column this week for CNHI, so I'm going to do a thing breaking down the best Big Ten quarterbacks, the 5 best, or who the 5 best are, in my opinion.
Who's at the stadium today?
I don't know who all is at the stadium, but I know Reese Taylor is going to be there. Because I sent Keegan a request, and I said Reese Taylor, and or Raheem Lane, and then I sent DeMarcus Elliott and or Weston Kramer, and he said that Taylor was going to be there today, and that DeMarcus Elliott and Kramer will be there tomorrow. So, but, they're both at 11:15. You should think about like pre-taping stuff and like doing the last half hour.
Yeah, but that gets to be so hard because if you're on the show then or co-host, and it's just
I'm close enough. I'm close enough to where I can.
Well, I'm gonna have to start doing the shows on Monday from there.
Yeah,
that's the only choice I have.
From the parking lot in Memorial Stadium.
From parking spot 225 here on the East Lot.
Yeah, he's done them from the statue of George Taliaferro twice already.
I've done it from the press box once when I was on at 6 a.m. That was kind of cool, actually. I saw the sunrise. I have to be the only person ever to see the sunrise in that press box doing a show.
Which press box?
The Indiana football press box. Yeah.
When did you do that?
2 years ago.
All right, coming back.
Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Not as much rain falling here today. I don't think we're getting a lot of remnants of Hurricane Ida. And again, our thoughts and prayers with everyone down there as they're going through all of that in the Louisiana area.
In Mississippi. I saw there were some bands up by Oxford. Your daughter's okay and everything?
I guess. I texted her as usual. I don't find out anything. So I guess if there had been any happen, her mom would at least told me. But yeah, I get no response from. It's typical teenage stuff.
She's out partying on.
No. Just enjoying the new life. She's the sorority. Just all that stuff that comes from school has started. So you got that. That is the weirdest thing. She's actually in college now, and I'm sitting there thinking about that. I'm like, wow, the difference between high school and college. It's wild. Crazy. Blows my mind.
No question. But she'll have a lot of fun tailgating in the Grove and so forth, and all that good stuff down at Old Miserable.
Yeah, Indiana has a break, a bye week, October 9th, and Ole Miss plays Arkansas.
Yeah,
and I think I'm heading down. I'm head down for that weekend. So
the speed limit there is 18 miles an hour on campus.
Yeah. I learned that not too long ago. It may have been from you.
Yeah, because Archie Miller. Yeah.
No.
Archie Manning, rather.
That's how many points his offense scored a game. You're confused.
Archie Manning.
Yeah, Archie Manning. If it was 18, it would be for Archie Miller's offense average points per game. Isn't it? I am so happy to not have to talk about that dude and his team. I mean, it was miserable. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably don't listen to this show because of if they tuned in during the Archie Miller era, there was nothing positive. What I'm not. This is not we're not a Facebook fanboy deal that we sit here and want to make prop IU up. Not my job. We're here to call it like we'd see it, and that's what it was. Everything's positive now. We're talking about everything that is good, but man, when that was miserable. And I'm sure people think that was enjoyable. It was not. It was not fun. It is I say this so much. I don't consider myself biased at all, but it is way more fun to cover a winner.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that is on any beat that covers any program or any league that wants to cover a loser. There's nothing fun about that. Nothing.
Well, there's some reporters that think that, you can get better stories because you can expose dysfunction of a losing team. And there's something to be said. There is, some reporters.
But the negativity carries over so much, I think.
Yeah. Some reporters thrive off that. And in some markets, I mean, take a look at what's going on, with my favorite baseball team right now, the New York Mets, and the whole thumbs down.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I wanted to talk about. How about what these jacklegs are doing?
Javi Baez and Lindor, thumbs down, yeah.
They're giving the thumbs down to the fans.
It's hey man, though, I've been on Twitter and
you're being paid millions of dollars. You need to shut your mouth and play the game as hard as you can play it. Now I'm not saying that fans are allowed to there are lines. I don't think a fan should be allowed to use language towards a player. Hey, if it gets salty, I'm not about that. I'm like, you know what? Give the player. I think the player should be given a baseball and get one shot to throw it at him. I think that should be the rule. You cuss at a player, and especially if he gets a hit, when he comes in, he gets to take a baseball and he gets one shot at you.
Yeah, or throwing things on the field. Have you seen Have you seen Malice in the Palace on Netflix?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. No, it was very well done. I don't know. There are some people. There's this millennial mindset, younger mindset. Because I was debating this on Twitter about how booing creates a toxic atmosphere that leads to other things, which I think is ridiculous. You can't lump them all together.
It's the softest of soft. I mean,
exactly.
You cannot. And you cannot sanitize everything in life. Yeah. That's the thing with today's society. They want everything sanitized. Everything has to be equal. Well, I'm sorry, but guess what? That's not reality. Yeah. That's why certain plants evolve and survive. Certain animals evolve and survive. Certain everything evolves and survives. It's realism. Get with it, people. I mean, you can try to create this world of great equality, and it's great that you can get it for certain. There are things that it should be for. I absolutely agree. But there are things that you like. There's the deal with dang, I hate to get into this. I wish Mike DeCourcy was on today. He's on assignment, but the equal pay for the women's national soccer team. It's not about, that's the thing people don't understand. It's not that they're not being paid equally by the United States or whatever. This comes down to TV rights around the world on the men's side. That's why the men make more. Is that not correct?
Yeah. And I mean, the issue with equity and economics, there's always that fine line. And WNBA players make $30,000-$40,000 a year compared to, and certain stars make more. But But
why is that? But see, people just want to throw.
No, it's about television revenue. Yeah,
it's not just about television revenue. It's about every kind of revenue. The revenue is the ticket attendance, the merchandising sales, all of that. There's a reason why.
Sponsorship.
They can afford to pay more because it brings in more. So I'm sorry, you don't just get equal amount because you want it. That's baloney. It's BS. I want equal amount as Dockage. Guess
Well,
what?
I mean-
I promise you, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I mean, there's Title IX in college. I mean, that should be the ideal, obviously. And when you're talking about some of the problems between the NCAA men's and women's tournaments, and now there's a recommendation to hold them at the same site. But what's interesting is Gino Auriemma kind of came out and said, we might get overshadowed if that happens. That might not be. We should stand on its own site. So
see, now that's funny. He says that they want equality, but the minute you put them on the same stage, whoa, hold on there, Gino. Well, wait a minute now. Don't put us on the same stage. Why? Because he knows it's not the same show. That is exactly why. As soon as you give him the opportunity, whoa. No, don't put us on the same stage now. Exactly. It's not the same. It's not, and they know it. And it doesn't mean better or worse. It's just not the same. Sorry, it's real life, man. It affects me, you, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, economically, you're paid what you're worth.
Exactly, man.
In most instances, I mean, sometimes there are some people that get it that are way overpaid, and some people that are way underpaid. In our business and in all walks of life, it just depends on. Some of it too is timing and who you suck up to and so forth. There's a lot of variables, but I think in our industry, women and minorities do well. They get ahead, and there needs to probably be more representation. But I think the people that enter our industry that are diverse tend to do very well.
Let's get back to some of these comments. Forrest said Iowa State was better without Penick.
Yep, I think that's the thing that the committee looked at. Was the whole without Michael Penick. But
what are you talking about? We're
talking about the playoff and the fact that they didn't make the New Year's Six. But
and it's true. And guess what? They were right. They were exactly right. Not only were that, you had a defensive coordinator who basically mailed it in. And I don't know what the hell was going on with that offensive game plan. And Indiana embarrassed themselves. What would have happened if they'd have gone to one of those bowl games? It could have been ugly. They barely lost to an Ole Miss team that they shouldn't have. But had they gone to a bigger bowl game and got embarrassed, that could have hurt the program.
Well, I think if they would have went to the Citrus and beat Auburn with like a lame duck coach, they might have done better.
I don't expect them to beat anybody, though, after the performance they gave last year.
It was kind of a bad matchup in a way, Ole Miss, because of Corral, too. And I mean, Corral's a very good quarterback. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and he could dice up Indiana secondary a bit, which a lot of Big Ten quarterbacks couldn't do. I think it was just kind of a weird matchup for him. And plus, like you said, though, offensive game plan, defensive coordinator being out the door. I think just you look at the last two bowl games, right? What was the common denominator? And I was talking with another reporter about this. 2019,
both of them had offensive coordinator leaving.
Yeah. 2020, defensive coordinator leaving. If a coordinator leaves,
but here's the thing,
their mind is somewhere else. And
I get that, but I don't think that Indiana's game plan didn't seem to be affected offensively that much against Tennessee. They had some breakdowns. They had just defensive breakdowns that, to me, that cost them. Obviously, yes, against Tennessee in the Gator Bowl.
Jim, Tennessee, they only scored how many points? 20 or 23. And some of them came from the defense, come from a pick six. They did not have a good offensive game that game in the Gator Bowl at all.
No, it wasn't good, but you had Peyton Ramsey. You didn't have Michael Penix.
Yeah. No, and you didn't have Stevie Scott either. You had Samson James, who has since departed, and you did have some people. And Wap Fillier had
still should have won that game. Still should have won both of the games. That's the bad part. They were that much better.
It's an extra point, remember, and then a 52-yard field goal. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other things but regardless. Let's see. I'm glad to see Tim finally found it on YouTube. Let's see. Yeah. You got that right. Talking about.
Let's get back to booing. Should you boo college athletes?
Good question. I mean, I'm not involved in that, so well, first of all, you've got students involved.
Yeah.
So,
but they're
students,
paid now. I mean, NIL and everything. The argument needs to be they're not paid. They're playing for the school. The school should always support them.
Baloney. You got to put them on that same deal. Should you? I'm not saying you should. No. Could you? I think not players individually, unless they do something egregious. But if you've got a team that you watch and you see a lot of what you saw often over the last 4 years at Indiana, yeah, I think you do, because at some point, even as a player, if you're playing in a morbid system, like I think these players were, I think they were playing in just an absolute morbid system for a mortician. I mean, it was like a mortuary. The Indiana basketball program has been like a mortuary for the last 4 years. But I think you got to find a way to just drive through that, man. As hard as it is, I don't know.
How much do you think that atmosphere at Lucas?
I don't think it comes up that often, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It only comes up, and look what it took. This was at the end of 4 years. You got to be sick and tired when I'm the only person that has for 2 years that ripped Archie Miller because the product was crap.
Well,
because of what he was doing was crap.
There was a guy in Indianapolis that was doing it too.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But that was for different reasons, though. But yeah, there was obvious. I'm like, I don't even think this guy knows what he's doing, and I was serious. And don't, obviously.
I mean, when they were 20-12 and 19-20, my first full year on the beat, I mean, they looked like that they were, and Trace Jackson Davis they looked like they were semi-competent, but they took a huge step back last year, and the fans were frustrated, and they voiced it. I'll often wonder how much that impacted Scott Dolson's decision, just that whole atmosphere at Lucas Oil and that Big Ten tournament game in
Dude,
Fort
Wayne. I will never, ever forget the Fort Wayne game. That was a game that I have never seen a team look more embarrassingly. I've seen way better defense in any rec league at the hyper and anything I've ever played in my entire life than the defense I saw. I have never seen more confusion, and there's no excuse for that. Not at that level. It doesn't even matter if you know what you're – forget it. Just go guard somebody.
Yeah. And
it was total dysfunction. And I'm like, what the hell? So I don't even know how we got on that subject. I don't even want to waste time with that. 4 soccer – how about this? 4 soccer players are suing Western Michigan. We got to take a break. Over Michigan over their vaccination mandate. In a federal lawsuit on Monday in Grand Rapids, Emily Dahl, Hannah Readout, Bailey Cohorn, and Morgan Otterson said that Western required him to get shot or be removed from the team. All 4 players separately applied for religious exemptions. I don't care. Then go play someplace else. Go play for a church league.
Yep.
I'm done with everybody gets to do what they want to do in life. Does not work that way, because when you do that, you're going to have chaos. And that's kind of where we've been in the last couple of years. Chaos. What was that show? Get Smart.
Get Smart. Loved it. Yeah.
Chaos. We'll be back with more chaos here on Indiana Sports Beat
Hello,
Radio.
Chief.
Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Cheryl Sizemore and Remax. Make sure if you need to talk to somebody looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, give her a call. 317-298-0961, IndianapolisRealEstate.com. Cheryl Sizemore, Remax Realty, back with more Indiana Sports Beat after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Well, and that's funny. I went ahead, before y'all even started mentioning the word chaos, I was picking the next instrumental to come back into, and the name of it just so happened to be Chaos. Although it was kind of funny.
It is very funny. Chaos was, who was Chaos in Max Smart's deal?
And I remember
was
the
always
claw,
his-
right? There was the claw.
That was always his nemesis.
Yeah. Claw.
Also, all of the press conference clips I have are uploaded now. I have 7 from Tom Allen, 2 from Penick, and 1 from McFadden. So we are loaded up on that front.
Okie dokie.
Kevin, which questions did you ask? I'm pretty sure I have your question on here from, I don't know about all 3 of them. I know I have your question from Tom Allen and McFadden. Or no, not McFadden, from Tom Allen.
I asked about, who did I ask about? I asked about
Oh, you asked about Penix and
his health. Yeah.
and Co Nafo, Gatatoa, and all those people.
Yeah.
David
And,
Ellis.
yeah. Southern Stone Restaurant.
Is that how you say that guy's name? Co Nafoa Gatatoa?
That's about as close as you're going to get.
CO.
No, that's not far off. I think there's an N in there. When I asked him to say it one day. CO on the phone, not to go. I got to see it to say it. CO on the phone that got to Katoa. See, if I don't see it, I can't say it.
So if we go
DK
to
Bonham
the
is also a cool name.
DK Bonham, yeah, that's an easier one.
That sounds like a rock star, man.
I know.
DK Bottom. Live this Friday night from the Rocks. DK Bottom and his band.
I think he's from Canada, isn't he?
Hey,
Yeah, he's Canadian, yeah.
Is he the only Canadian on the team, or is there a couple?
brought to you by Molson Beer.
Yeah, Southern Stone is down by the Bloomington Trail, I think.
Yes.
Rogers, yeah. Not far from
On
me.
Parrot.
Yep.
Yep.
Should I go down on Friday or no?
What's on Friday?
On Wednesday, rather. That's when he's doing the show.
I mean, I've never understood the point of going there.
Here we go. 5 seconds.
Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Just be seen, you know.
This segment is brought to you by Sam's Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local, family. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. It is Tuesday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios as usual. No rain falling. I can actually see some blue out there right now. So that is nice. Ross says Ida has arrived, though, down there in southern Kentucky. It's raining sideways, watching his driveway wash down the hill. Man. Gino is out in Arizona, says, watching Tom Allen's press conference, he is convinced they are locked in. Doesn't sugarcoat anything. No, they're locked in. I'm not concerned about that. Last night when I did that other show, that's the one thing I talked about. I don't know how you get that many guys to be on the same page, but they are all on the same page, Kevin. They all think the same, the earmuffs and blinders, focused LEO. It is all, it's sincere. It's not BS. I think that they've all truly bought in. And I pointed this out yesterday. This is Tom Allen's 5th season. That means these are all Tom Allen guys. They're bought in Tom Allen to the core. And I think that is huge. It's all coming together in the 5th year. It's when it's supposed to happen.
You got 9 starters back on offense. You got 8 on defense. I think that's the thing. Experienced guys that are getting older. Michael McFadden's a 4th-year guy. Tywan Mullen now is a 3rd-year guy. Michael Penick is a 4th-year guy. So you've got guys that have been in the system that are returning that have experience, and Ty Freifogel, 5th-year guy. So you've got these guys. They've been here for a while and they've developed and they've performed. So I think from that standpoint, you go into the season with a lot of confidence. Now, football's an injury sport. A lot of things can happen, and one wrong injury to a wrong position could change a lot. And that's where your depth is tested. And I think Indiana's getting deeper, but do they have the same depth of Ohio State or Penn State or some of the big boys? I think that's the question. And the physicality on both lines of scrimmage. And I think Iowa will be very telling in that one. Can they be physical enough on both the offensive and defensive line to handle one of the more physical teams in the Big Ten? And, if you remember last year, they did that at Wisconsin. They went up to Wisconsin, and everyone thought that Wisconsin was going to be this, big physical, Big West team that was going to give them problems on the line of scrimmage. And Indiana more than held its own and, held them to 6 points and won that game 14-6. Probably could have won the game 21-6 had Miles Marshall not dropped that pass. But, notwithstanding, it was still a win, and it was still a game where the defense have stepped up and made a stop at the end of the game. So I think you're going to probably this is going to be a line of scrimmage test, and that's where ultimately Indiana's going to win. You have the speed guys, you have the big play guys, but can they hold their own on a line of scrimmage against an Iowa team that is notorious for being tough and being physical on both ends of football?
The difference between this Indiana team, whether it's offense or defense, especially this defense, and past teams, where even though you have this good talent returning, what they didn't have was the Ryder Andersons, the guys that the few little transfers in that complete that unit, that really help elevate that unit. Not that it wasn't good, but now you've added pieces that are not freshmen or sophomores that are come up. These are ready to go big time SEC guys. And I think that's why Indiana's defense is going to be even stouter this year than it was last year.
Well, you still have to wait and see how they fit into the system. You don't know what transfers. Remember last year, Javon Swan really didn't make.
Well, there's a reason Ryder Anderson's starting. I mean, he's number 1 on the depth chart. That tells me a lot.
Yeah, but you could have a transfer that starts, but are they going to make an impact in the league? Are they going to know the system? Are they going to make plays? I think that's the bigger question. And I think that's to be determined. But the early result, like when we watched Jaron Handy that second week of practice, you could tell that he was better at getting to the quarterback than the first week of practice. So you could tell that he's improving. And the same thing on the outside with Ryder Anderson. So I think there's some pass rush potential there for sure. Don't forget, they did lose their best pass rushing defensive lineman from last year, Jerome Johnson, 5.5 sacks. So they are going to have to account for that. Last year they led the Big Ten in sacks, but a lot of that from the linebackers, blitzing.
Only 7 of those came from the line, and you just mentioned 4.5 of those came from a guy who's not there.
So, you've got to get the pass rush, the 4-man rush. If you can get the 4-man rush, it takes a lot of pressure off your secondary, off your linebackers and coverage. So we'll see if Handy and Anderson can have that kind of impact on the outside.
The bull and the husky position. I don't know sure that people understand that. What is your explanation of the bull and the husky position? Marcelino Ball is the husky, starting Alfred Bryant, but you've got a lot of guys. They've got 4 guys that they're running in and out of that bull position that they kind of mix up in there. You got Alfred Bryant and Jaron Handy and Michael Ziemba and DK Bonham. Then over on the husky side, Marcelino Ball and Brian Fitzgerald playing that side. Those are some hybrid positions that's been created.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about the bull position is it's kind of like an edge rusher, but sometimes you even drop back in coverage. You got to be athletic and impact screens, and what you can do, particularly in the short. And so many teams are going to these obviously short passing games. What you can do, particularly if you have a long wingspan, is you can alter the quarterback's passing lanes and ability to throw from that as well. It's really an interesting position, and that you have to be athletic. And that leads me to another story that I'm working on this week. I had a chance.
I was just Dasan McCullough just popped into my head as soon as you said that.
Down at Bloomington South High School, and had 2 touchdowns, could have had a third, impacted another for his brother when he got in on the pass rush. So he was really in on 4 huge plays in that game. Now they're playing Martinsville, but he's a man amongst boys out there, 6'5", 260, and he is going to be perfect for that position in the future. Dasan McCullough.
He looked like a high school kid playing in an elementary game on the tape, on the clip. I mean, he just he's only 6'5". It's not like he's a giant, but he just stood out in the middle, and this was like a Hoover, a vacuum cleaner. Just the ball. It's hard to get the ball around that.
Yeah, and he had a pick, and he's got great ball skills because he's a former running back. When he was in 7th and 8th grade, so he is going to be a guy that will be very interesting in the future in that bull position. But it's an important position, and then the Husky obviously being that hybrid linebacker defensive back, hard hitter, third safety, perfect for Marshallino McCurry Ball in terms of his athleticism, in terms of his physicality. And then Brian Fitzgerald will be backing him up there.
That's the thing about this Indiana defense. It is, like I said, it's solid front to back. They have depth. I think this is probably the deepest defense Indiana's ever had in its program's history, maybe. From a talent level, they're just set. Linebackers, defensive secondary, they're good at all 3 areas. Of course, the defensive line is going to be the most tested. I think they're going on speed over size on the line, and that may be how the game changes a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Iowa. They're always known for having big, beefy linemen, tight ends, guys that can move you off the ball. They've made a living doing that. It's going to be interesting.
He's an incredible center, and that's where it starts with their offensive line. He's a very talented guy. He's a guy that'll be playing on Sundays. So, but they did lose about 3 or 4 starters on that offensive line too, Alaric Jackson. So there are going to be some young guys in there too. So you might be able to take advantage with some pass rushing on the edge against their younger tackles.
Yep. Let's see. No, we're good on time. So, John, I guess we'll wait till 10. Let's see. Chronic's joining us today, but we're going to reach out to Mitchell Page. Yeah. I guess we forgot to do that. We'll do that in the next hour. He's actually on the golf course, so I think it's going to be kind of funny if we can get through to him, but to see how things are going with him.
How's your golf game been lately?
The same as always. It's terrible. Just never gets good. That's always fun, though. Always fun. Always fun if you get to play. But I just can't. I can't focus. It's just. There's no way. There's always too much going on. Like the whole time, I'm just like, if I'm in the car, I got my phone in my hand working on something. And it's just like, you just can't get your mind away. I can't get my mind away long enough. But
what aspect of your game needs the most improvement? Your short game or your drives or your?
I should take 2 weeks off and quit. That's what I should do. But man, I'm looking forward to seeing fans in the stands this weekend. And it's great to be knowing you're going to an environment that this is one of those great college football environments. Iowa is just salt of the earth people. It's the only game in town. So other than Iowa football games and the state fair, I assume There's not a lot of other outdoor activities to do in Iowa. So, and I'm not cracking on it. It's just, it's Iowa football is big because there's nothing else. And they've been good. They've just good for a long, long time, man. And Kirk Ferentz is a guy you don't hate on. So,
well, I think it's interesting too. The children's hospital also like waving at the kids at the end of the first quarter. That's a pretty cool thing that they do.
Third quarter.
Third quarter. Okay, that they do after during every game, waving to the kids at the children's hospital. That's nice. 70,000 people. 70,000. I'm looking forward. It'll be my first time up in Penick Stadium in Iowa. It's funny. In the 1980s, Iowa had an offensive lineman named Robert Cratch, who was from Mahwah, New Jersey, and used to babysit me. And he went on. He played at Iowa in the 1980s. So I always watched those teams, those Hayden Fry teams in the 80s, to look for him on TV. And then he went on. He played in the NFL for about 6 years with the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. But Bob Cratch, yeah. I probably drove him crazy when I was a kid.
Eric says it's into the first quarter. I always thought it was into the third quarter.
I thought that's what I thought, in the first quarter, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm incorrect. Did you know that Indiana is now in the has been in the Associated Press top 25 and the USA Today top 25 coaches poll, AFCA coaches poll for 11 straight weeks, which is a program record?
Pretty good.
But here's the funnier thing to me. That is the 13th longest active streak in the nation. I'm laughing only because they've hardly ever even been in the rankings, and now they have the 13th longest active streak in the country.
Yeah, it really tells you how far the work that Tom Allen has put in and how far the program has come. I remember, that was the question I asked the Big Ten Media Day when Tom Allen went up on the podium and said, we want to be here, back here on December, and I said, Tom, to even articulate that, how does that tell you how far the program's come, right? Like, you couldn't even, 4 or 5 years ago, you'd said that you'd be laughed off the stage, but now it seems like a legitimate possibility.
I think that COVID was the best thing to happen to the Indiana football program. I don't mean COVID to the team. I mean of what we're going through. I hate that we're going through this. All of us, people have lost people, sickness and all of that. But as far as how it has, I think it has helped the football program. Do they have that success they had last year if there were fans in the stands? If they had to go to some of these places that were packed? Who knows?
If it's an 11-game season.
Yeah.
Because of your depth, you know what I mean? And if you have injuries,
So
I think those are fair points, but I think what Tom has done over the last 2 years too. I mean, don't forget they were 8-5 in 2019 when they played a full season. I think lends a little more credibility to it as well. That it's not just a 1 year thing; it's been a 2 year thing, and it's showing signs of being sustainable. And I think with their talent level and with what they have returning, and now it being more experienced, I think they've got a 2 to 3 year window here to really do something special. And we'll see how recruiting goes, and if recruiting continues to go as well as like this 2022 class, maybe it'll be a longer window.
Well, it should, and I think that this season helps with that as well. If they're successful this season, there's no reason for the recruiting to slow down. They're already adding pieces. You got the quarterback coming in from Texas, which is a big piece to me. I mean, you get a kid that's coming in, he's playing in the highest class in Texas. He's not, this is not some 1A school that's tucked away down in Nacogdoches somewhere in a corner. This dude is playing in the highest level of Texas football. He's throwing for 3,000 yards a year, 30-something touchdowns. We know what that's like. You've seen the movie Friday Night Lights. And this kid is coming to Indiana. So,
Oh yeah. And the quarterback room is, I think, the future is bright. Certainly, and you've got Jack Tuttle, who's a solid guy, and Donovan McCulley, who we saw good things from in the fall during camp, and I think he'll develop and get better. So, I think you got a lot of talent in that quarterback room for the future.
oh, absolutely. Jason mentions Jack Tuttle at Wisconsin. He showed that he was very capable. He managed the game there. He did what he was asked to do. Wasn't quite ready, but I think if he was put in that situation now, he's not Michael Penix, obviously, or he would be starting. But I don't. There's not the difference now that there was last year. I don't think, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he got to play. He got to take all those snaps with the number one team. So there was some benefit there. But this dude's a good quarterback, man. You could see both of them in the NFL. You could potentially, I don't know how good Donovan McCullugh will end up being, but you've got three guys who have the appearance that they could play in the NFL. I'll be honest with you. The one I'd have the most concern with is Michael Penix because of his durability in the NFL. Not because of his abilities, but of his durability in the NFL. Jack Tuttle can take a pounding. We saw that last year. And Donovan McCulley is a big old boy too. But asked on that show last night, I said that Michael Penix is a much bigger, stronger guy. We saw him at Big Ten Media Days. He's got a frame now. He looks like a man. He's like, ooh, he was a skinny old thing. Not anymore.
Well, and I wrote about that today too. I mean, about, keeping Penick, talking about sliding and trying to keep himself out of harm's way. But there is going to be there'll be times when he had to scramble. I mean, he had to scramble in that Maryland game.
Well, that was just stepping out of bounds. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't hit. It was just stepped out of bounds. So it's football, and those things are going to happen. Yeah.
We got to take a break. We're back with more. We'll talk some basketball. How did Noah Clowney like his visit? That and plenty more football as we get ready for the Iowa Hawkeyes this weekend. What else is going on in the Big Ten? We're back with that. Brought to you by Sam's Restaurants all over in Indianapolis area. And, of course, the clubhouse here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're
Reynolds Family Dentistry in Solersburg.
You betcha.
Where's Solersburg? Is that Southern Indiana?
Yeah, straight south. You should go there.
No,
you could go there.
Is in
you could go there and then go to Bubba's.
Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Pizza, burgers, beer.
We could go to Bubba's in Indy on the way back.
Nope, they're not a sponsor.
Isn't that in Greenwood?
Screw them.
How come you couldn't get them to sponsor?
It's weird. I don't know. They're not smart, I guess.
The Notre Dame Florida State game is Sunday night, actually.
Who cares? That's a terrible game. Terrible game.
Notre Dame's in the state, you know.
And Florida State sucks. They're playing. That's like playing a non-con game. Florida State's a joke.
They'll get.
How does that happen? How does that happen?
I'm back.
Sam's Clubhouse, Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Tuesday. You know, Noah Clowney just finished up his visit, Kevin.
Hearing good things, right?
4-star, 6'10" big man from Dorman, Roebuck, South Carolina.
Spartansburg, yeah. You know who else is from Spartansburg, right? Zion.
Cool.
Williams. Yeah.
He's bigger than Zion, man. He's he got 2 inches on Zion, but yeah, I finished up his visit. You want to know how that went? Alec Lasley spoke to him at thehoosier.com. You can go there, read all about it. And today is the last day to get 80% off for the year. It's $20 for the entire year. It's $168 a month. Complete premium coverage, including things like the exclusive interview or the interview with Noah Clowney up right now after his visit. Talk to him about it. And, seems like things went well. So there you go. Go to thehoosier.com and get signed up for that because today is the last day. It's crazy. You can get premium content for the next year. $1.68. Man, you can't even buy a candy bar for $1.68.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Pretty good deal.
But getting kids on campus is the thing for Mike Woodson right now. They don't have a video of his Indiana teams. And you can't really – you can use NBA to a degree, but it doesn't really show. So I think that's part of why that Bahamas trip was about to get some video on tape.
Yeah.
To use to show kids.
This is how we're going to play, and it's going to be a tempo. It's going to be exciting.
What you can do, how we're gonna plug you in, how we see you, what we can use you as, where we can use you, things like that. But once you get them there and they're sitting down with them and they're doing that, I think that all that it's everything becomes equal then. Mike Woodson, I think he has a way with these players. Indiana is set with their assistants. I think that Yasir is doing just a bang-up job. Kenya Hunter doing a bang-up job.
I think that,
the recruiting has got – have you noticed that the recruiting has gotten better with the same guys?
Yeah, no. I just think that, the interesting thing with recruiting in general, and particularly with the big-time guys, it's kind of that balance of, the number one thing is for them, they want to develop, they want to get to the next level, number one thing. But then also getting them to buy into the team structure and winning as well at a place like Indiana that's a storied program, and marrying those two and getting players to buy into the fact that if you win at a school like Indiana, you're going to get, more attention, and you're going to be even more attractive to NBA scouts. I think that's kind of the combination. And I think most college football and college basketball coaches, that's the constant battle, right? Getting players to buy into their system and showing that if they do that, that they're going to be more marketable and more draftable at the next level.
And not only that, I think that Mike Woodson, I think another positive that Mike Woodson brings as a coach, I think he can keep guys like Tamar Bates and Noah Clowney for 2 years all the time. They're not good with, and you add NIL to that, now they're not as anxious to jump. I think that they're more willing to take a little more tutelage. They don't feel as pressured to get out of college quite as fast. I could be full of crap on that, but it just seems like it's just relaxed things a bit. They don't feel as rushed. Like, okay, let me get a couple of years of this in me and then move on.
Yeah,
we'll see.
The whole
Maybe that's
NIL aspect of it too. I'm going to be fascinated to see, because in football, obviously, this isn't a football state. For as much as Tom Allen has done, it's still. But the public appearances that you could, I'm not a college football state. Certainly for Indiana, that doesn't have the same tradition as Indiana basketball. Upstate you have Notre Dame, but they're more of a national program. They're not really associated with the state as much as it is. But I think with Indiana basketball, I'm going to be fascinated to see the amount of public appearances that these guys can get in terms of. I think it's going to be a gold mine for a lot of Indiana basketball players. I think they're going to do very well, and I think that's going to positively impact recruiting because they realize that they're going to be able to come here and market themselves and make more money than they would at a school like in the SEC, like Florida or whatever, where they don't really care about basketball. If NIL was here 5 years ago, do you think Trey Mann, who was a first round pick for the Gators, would have come here? Probably, because he could have marketed himself much better here than he could have in Florida.
Well, you could just go back 2 years, 1 year. I mean, yeah, it's going to change a lot. And then you add in what Indiana has added, how they've added it with Mike Woodson, Dane Fife, Thad Matta, Rosemond, Yasir, Kenya Hunter. They have they've got it set up. Scott Dolson, I said it yesterday, the right guy at the right time at the right place.
By the way, Athlon preview I got in the mail today. I might have gotten it early because I contribute to the magazine. I wrote the Purdue preview, not the Indiana preview. I think Rick Bozich does the Indiana preview. But number one, they picked to win the Big Ten, Athlon, Purdue, or not Purdue, Michigan. Number 2, Purdue, and they picked Indiana 7.
Okay. Wow, they went on a stretch there, picking Michigan with Purdue at second. Here's my prediction. Indiana's a top 4 team.
All right.
Purdue does not finish second. But I don't know who could beat them out. I don't know what – there's not a lot. The Big Ten is not as – I don't think the Big Ten is going to be as good this year.
I agree. Because they lost, some new coaches. Minnesota. I think Minnesota and Penn State will be taking big steps back this year.
Illinois.
Yeah, well, I mean, Illinois got Kofi back. So here's the top. Michigan 1, Purdue 2, Ohio State 3, Illinois 4, Maryland 5, Michigan State 6, Indiana 7.
Okay, Indiana's 4, and I'll put Indiana in the 4th spot easily. I've said that a while back. Indiana's a top 4 team, I think, this season. I don't know. Illinois is going to be up and down. They had a lot more talent last year than they have this year. You've got to have guard play. Purdue has got a lot of freshmen.
Yep.
I don't know that Purdue is going to be as good as people think they are. I think they may still be.
They got Travion Williams. They got Zach Edey and Jaden Ivey as sophomores who are very good.
Right, they're starters. Yeah, it's still Purdue.
All right.
But we'll see. It'll be interesting when we get to that. Looking forward to that.
I think Purdue's pretty loaded And
well, they are. They obviously they had good talent last year, but
although the guards are, Stefanovic is a good 3-point shooter. Hunter is okay. He's a good defender, but Hunter doesn't give you a lot of offense. Their guards are and they're very suspect taking care of the ball. That's how you beat Purdue, is you pressure them. And I think that's where Mike Woodson's system could be very helpful, and how you could break that losing streak is if you get after Purdue's guards and force them into bad decisions, you can beat them. And that should be the MO.
Earlier we were talking about the Bahamas, and Brian says that Noah made mention of watching film from the Bahamas. Senior Ache says Caleb Banks, CJ Gunn, and Jalen Hood-Schifino. I doubt that they've convinced him to do it, but I know that they're all talking. But one of the things that Clowney said was that he didn't feel pressure from those guys, which is a good thing. But I don't think he's going to need to. Like I said, I think this weekend went a long way for him. But he's from South Carolina, man. There's other places. Alabama is a good option that's close to home, but Alabama is the SEC in basketball. It's still the SEC. You still don't have big games. Yeah, you get to play Kentucky. Man, in the Big Ten, it's big games all the time. The Big Ten is built on both basketball and football. And you've just got I don't know.
Yeah, the SEC, if you're not going to Kentucky, you're not going to be loved. You're not going to be the big man on campus. Basically, Arkansas is a little bit. I mean, they've got some too, but a lot of those schools down in the SEC are overshadowed by football, in terms of basketball programs. And I think with NIL, that's going to be more important, because I think you're going to have, a lot of players that are going to be looking to market themselves, and you'll have a better chance to market yourselves in a traditional basketball program than you would a school like Alabama, where, basically all they care about is football.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of what Indiana basketball has yet. Even the Bahamas stuff, didn't get to see Michael Durr or Logan Duncan. Anthony Leal. Didn't get to see a lot of Parker Stewart yet. He's still integrating in, I guess. So this team has a lot of weapons that we haven't seen yet.
What was interesting is Parker Stewart, he didn't have the scoring impact, but he had 5 steals that first game. So he showed that he could do other things.
It's like Jordan Geronimo. He had 17 rebounds.
Yeah.
17 rebounds, dude. He's 6'6" and had 17 freaking rebounds in 2 games. Let me tell you, I said this then, and I'll say it again now. That will get your ass minutes. I don't care what you're doing. You're pulling down 17 rebounds. You're in the game, brother.
Well, here's the thing with Jordan, right? He's 6'6", but 40-inch vertical leap. So that plays pretty well in the rebounding. The fact that he's an athlete. I mean, he can go up there and get the ball. So there's something to be said for that. And that's the way Jordan has to play. He has to play above the rim like that.
I think he knows that. I think he knows that's his route to getting onto the floor is hustling, if the scoring comes along later, he could be one of those guys that could just be an explosive scorer. But the scoring, if he develops a shot, great. That's just going to make it tougher. If he can develop getting around and getting to the rim, it's going to make him a better player. You don't know. He could become an NBA prospect simply because of physical tools. Yeah. When you have physical tools and you have the right coaching, you can become something that you possibly never would have become.
Again, and Mike Woodson's defense, pressure defense, get out and run, create points off turnovers. I think Jordan's game is very suited for that with his athleticism, as opposed to the previous administration parking in the zone, the back line, and you can't show off your athleticism that way.
No, and now we're seeing that. And I mentioned when they came back from the Bahamas and we talked about it, what you saw was different things from different people in the 2 different games. It was different people stepping up in different ways. And that's just 2 opportunities. So you can imagine the more opportunities they get, you're hoping that you're going to see more of that just spread. And they're playing positionless basketball. So that's what you want to see. a different output from a different guy each game. This game, Miller Kopp hit 4 threes and blah, 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 and did that along with Trace Jackson Davis underneath, or it was Xavier Johnson getting to the rim, or whatever the case. They have so many different options. I already mentioned twice as many as what they seemed like they had last year. We got to take a break. We're over, but we're going to be back with more. Let's see. Chronic Hoosier joining us today. We'll find out about that, and we'll try to see if we can get Mitchell on. We're back with more. Brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. You need that championship smile, so get down there and see Dr. J at Reynolds Family Dentistry. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Yeah, so Chronic, I'm assuming, he would have joined this past segment that just happened, so he's probably in some meetings.
Okay,
I was going to ask you now if you wanted to go ahead and reach out to Mitchell.
Yes. See if he can join us by link, though.
Yeah, I have it sent to his email already.
I understand, but you're going to have to reach out to him. He's physically on the golf course.
I know. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay.
Actually, you need to send me his number. I don't have his phone number. You see, me and Dustin had our first guest on the podcast last night.
I did not. Who'd you have?
Jeffrey the Greek. He does the Eyes on Big podcast. He used to play for Iowa as a defensive back, actually. So that was kind of cool.
Jeffrey the Greek. You and Dustin who? Dustin
Shooty. Dustin Shooty, yeah. Let me know when you sent me over the
Oh, I just sent a text to Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Tom Allen. Who else? You have Michael Penick.
And one from Micah McFadden. And I'll shoot the link over to Mitchell Page as soon as we get out of break here in a few seconds.
Ford LX front-wheel drive.
He doesn't have the
for
link?
just $270.
No, he has in his email, but he
Andy Moore
just sent me
Honda,
his phone.
Bloomington,
I was going to
Bloomington's
send it to
#1
his
Honda
phone
dealer.
for text.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Man, that food is so good. Made fresh every day.
Yeah.
Made fresh every day.
Right? You know?
Take the last train to Clarksville.
I'll meet you in the station. The Monkeys.
Right off of 65 there. Man, easy in, easy out. Got some good food. Oh, yeah. Tom Allen. We spoke to him yesterday. Week 1. It's ready, man. It's time.
Got some good clips.
Michael McFadden, Michael Penick, all the coordinators. We're talking. What do we have with let's Tom Allen? Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, we'll start off with just as a preview of Iowa.
Really want to say how excited we are to open our season at Iowa, and so much respect for Coach Ferentz and what he's built at Iowa for so many years, and the consistency and such a great program. Great opportunity for this program to play on the road there at Penick Stadium, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's great to have the fans back, and it's going to be a tough and challenging environment to be in, without question. And so, but just so much respect for their team as you go through and you evaluate them. I know everybody's in the same boat. You're looking at 2020 film and projecting some things personnel-wise and schematically, all, and everybody's in that same situation. But defensively, they're just so sound. Do such a great job up front, and how just disciplined they are. Physicality at the linebacker position and athleticism there, and then the secondary is really where their most experience lies. And so many different guys back there have played a lot of football, and they just don't make a lot of mistakes. They make you really have to execute at a high level, and then offensively, just starts up front for them, and excellent running game, and quarterback that I know that played some really good football, especially as the season progressed. And we expect him to take that growth opportunity, like we all did not have a previous spring, like he did not, and just a guy that highly talented individual that has a big time arm and a lot of weapons around him. They're always good at tight end, and that continues to be the case. And same at receiver, a lot of playmakers there, and special teams really jumps out. They were the number one special teams unit in the Big Ten last year overall. And we were actually number 2 overall. So that's going to play a big role in this game. And they're very talented in the return game and at their specialist position. And so a lot of respect for this program. And so we're going to have to play our best football. So excited for the opportunity. Questions?
They're definitely going to have to play their best football, no doubt. You go on the road in the Big Ten, especially to a hostile environment. Iowa, it will be full. It will be loud. They're well coached. They're probably not going to make a lot of mistakes, although it's the beginning of the season. That could happen on both sides of the ball. That's eliminating mistakes is going to be so huge in this game because it's a first game. You're still getting the nerves out of the way. But I think a lot of that goes away, man. When the kickoff happens, once you get out of that, you forget about that. You get locked in. But I think being so locked in as these guys have been, that they have an advantage, that they are truly mentally there.
Yeah. And there's something we said about unforced errors and forced errors too. Like, that's the whole thing too. And you can create your own turnovers. Certainly Indiana did that. You remember last year, the Penn State opener, the COVID opener, they had Sean Clifford fooled basically with their coverage in the first half, and those interceptions kept them in the game for sure. But at the same time, I think there a Stevie Scott fumble near the end of the first half that could have resulted in 3 points, and the field goal kicker misses the kick. So, you look back to last year's opener and all the little things that played into that game as well. But when you're facing a Big Ten team like this, on the margin for error is so small, particularly for the road team. You're going to have to execute at a very high level, and stay the course through 4 quarters, and that's going to be very important, because while I think Indiana's talent level has increased, I don't know if they're quite explosive enough yet to overcome those kind of mistakes.
They showed what they're capable of a lot last year at Ohio State. They killed themselves in that game. They fumbled the ball twice, I think, inside the red zone. In addition to the pick six, almost able to overcome all of that. But yeah, man, you can't make it any more difficult for yourself on the road than you can. And turnovers are the key. Indiana builds them. That's what they're built on, is getting turnovers, getting the ball into the hands of this offense, and then controlling that ball and getting down to the end zone. But you can't turn the ball over yourself. So that's going to be ball security. Very important. But Michael Penix is not shown to have any problems with that. You've got Stephen Carr in the backfield. So turnovers, unless they just are freaky, hopefully it won't be a problem for Indiana, but that is key. You cannot turn the ball over in this game.
That'll be, and as far as, being loose with the football, that'll be fascinating to see with Stephen Carr. There's not much in his USC history that suggests that he's much of a fumbler, but the durability with him has been more of an issue and staying healthy. But Dylan McCullough would not play him if, he didn't think he could secure the ball. I remember asking him that during camp, how much ball security plays into his evaluation. And he said that and pass protection are the two keys. And that's something too, in losing Stevie Scott, I know you and I have differing opinions on him, but the one thing you could say about Stevie Scott, he wasn't an explosive runner. Obviously he's more of a physical runner, but he was also very good in pass protection. He was almost like an extra blocker back there at 230 pounds. So that will be interesting to see if Stephen Carr and Tim Baldwin, et cetera, if they face a blitz from Iowa, can they pick up the blitz?
Yeah, and Iowa's very good, big, and bulky up front. That's one of the things where they've been consistently solid is having good lines. And big old, they're grain-fed boys out there, man. So, it's going to be that's going to be but Indiana's offensive line, they didn't give up sacks last year, and they're experienced as well. I mean, they're probably not as deep as the defensive side, but they're pretty deep. You've got Caleb Jones and Mike Penick and Zach Carpenter and Dylan Powell, Matthew Bedford. These are solid. That's a solid lineup. And then the guys that are backing them up have been there. They've got experience. So you're going to be able to rotate in. Injuries are, dang, you don't want to see a lineman go down. That's just part of the game. But
were you on the Zoom last week with Caleb Jones where he talked about he's done 350 pounds? I guess he was playing at 390 last year. And he said that he had to give up ribs from his dad's restaurant. Apparently his dad has a barbecue place up in Indy. And he had to give up those ribs, man. And you and I, we love our barbecues. That's
I thought he'd just have to give up the barbecue sauce. I would think the ribs would still be good for you. Protein.
Yeah, it's probably the sauce or all the extras. Or Mississippi State, our good friend Stefan Krasnick, who's down there now covering the Bulldogs. There's a place down there called Little Dewey's where they have fried ribs.
Little Dewey's.
Across from the cemetery, and they have fried ribs. And I'll tell you what, you eat too many of those fried ribs, you'll be going to the cemetery.
Yeah, we'll see, man. But you got Stephen Carr starting in the background. You talked about Stevie Scott gone. But this changes this offensive output because the running game, as I said, it didn't hurt Indiana. It hasn't hurt them the last couple of years, but it just hasn't helped them. I've said that 1,000 times. It didn't do anything. Can you remember one breakaway run in the last 2 or 3 seasons? No, it just, man, when Tevin Scott was at Indiana, he led the nation in runs of 80 yards, 70 yards, 60 yards, 50 yards, 40 yards.
Tevin Coleman, you mean?
Yes, I'm sorry, Tevin Coleman. What I said. But you haven't had that. You haven't had that fear of defenses. They haven't had to fear that. Now, just fearing Michael Penix is a lot, but you need the ability to do that, the ability to stretch from inside. And I think that having Dylan McCullough, what he brings, obviously Stephen Carr getting the starting job says a lot. Capable backgrounders, guys behind him, and Tim Baldwin Jr. and Ellis. So it's going to be interesting to see what they get done out of the
and being more multiple too. Remember, Tom Allen talked about that in the offseason too, not just inside zone. And I think they even admitted last year with the practice time, it was hard to do some things. So they showed some wrinkles with the Wildcat in the second half of the season with Stevie Scott, but more perimeter runs too. Kind of changing it up a little bit and keeping the defense off balance. That's going to be interesting to see too. And you have a guy in Stephen Carr that probably has much better speed on the outside than a guy like Stevie Scott, where those toss plays are kind of slower to develop.
Absolutely. Let's see. I want to make. Cam Newton waived by the Patriots.
Interesting.
Do the Colts go after him with the Carson Wentz saga? Carson Wentz now under a COVID protocol. It's one thing after another with him. Do the Colts go after Cam Newton?
Yeah. What's interesting too is that I guess the Patriots must be sold on Mac Jones, huh? That he's the guy as a rookie.
Well, if you watch him, he looked pretty damn good. I'm like, oh man, you could see that it wasn't going to be that during this season he was probably going to be stepping in. You can't come in and be that ready and not just be ready. I mean, he looked really good. He looked poised. He looked like he was a second or third year pro.
Yeah.
And again, that's because where did he come from?
That's true. Came from Alabama.
Alabama, who doesn't even throw the ball hardly. They don't even hardly throw the ball, but that's the kind of quarterback Alabama has 3 more of. That's what I talk about. When I talk about depth and these programs like Clemson and Alabama and Ohio State, that's what they have on the cupboard, folks. They have guys that can barely that barely are asked to throw the ball in college, but leave there and go to New England and end up being the starter for probably the best mind in NFL
threw it a
football.
lot last year. They had some good receivers, Jalen Waddle, and they had some guys.
I know, but you don't think of Alabama as it's not like they're going to be throwing it like Indiana.
Yeah, no, they're different. They've got so many good running backs too. That's the thing. Now, I look at what Najee Harris is doing with the Steelers too. It's
exactly. See,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they've got just talent everywhere in that on that roster. So.
Yep, and they've got lots more of them, but again, yeah, I wonder do the Colts go after Cam Newton now? What are they going to do?
Jacob Eason, is he ready?
I knew that. Man, the Patriots.
And Ellinger is hurt too, I think. Yeah, so you really need a quarterback.
There are some teams that seem to just do the right thing time after time after time. And some teams that kind of find themselves in mistake after mistake after mistake. And then it's like once you get into that, you start compounding it with more mistakes. Indianapolis needs to get a quarterback that is
well, for so many years they were spoiled. Peyton and Luck. You had that, amazing.
Well, the Luck thing really screwed them.
Yeah, and you had that amazing run of 15 or 20 years where you had that franchise guy with franchise talent, and now you're kind of in the wilderness where you've gone from Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to, now Wentz, maybe if he can stay healthy and off the COVID list.
I doubt very seriously Phillip Rivers said that. He's a head coach at a high school football team, Tim. So I would be shocked if I saw that.
Yeah, he wants.
I know that there's.
Team,
yeah, he's not. He's not coming out of retirement to play in the NFL. I don't see that.
How would you get him ready that fast, too? Yeah.
Well, he knows the offense, so. But could Cam learn the system that quickly? You can if you want. If you need it bad enough.
Well, here's the thing: if you bring Cam in, you just Cam and Taylor, you know what I mean? You just run the football with the two of them. That'd be pretty.
So UK bailed out. Kentucky has bailed out on a Michigan game this year.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. Yep.
Imagine that. Do you remember when he bailed on the Indiana series? Indiana was scheduled to come in and play as number 1 into Rupp Arena that year. Yeah, let's not play.
Well, I mean, I think it's the whole that storming the court too that got him mad. And stuff.
I'm so sick and tired of hearing that crap. No, No. One instance does not take away a series that he had nothing to do with starting and being a part of, other than coaching in it for a while. That's all you are. You're a little piece of it. That's it. He does not get to run the show.
Do you think Indiana and Kentucky will happen again? Do you think they'll do it like maybe in
yes,
Lucas Oil or
yes,
yeah,
until they get rid of Calipari.
Yeah,
that's the only chance of it being a home and home again. But I think it just comes down to what do they want to do? Do they want to make money? A little more money? How much money do you really make? How much more money does Indiana really make by having it at, say, Banker's Life or Lucas Oil? Now, if it's in Lucas Oil, obviously, and you're getting 40,000 people in there, you're obviously making a lot more money. But are they? Are they getting the ticket sales? Are they getting the concessions there? So are they making any more money? If not, what's the point? Just make it a home and home. But, I mean, that's the biggest bunch of – I'm so sick and tired of hearing that storm in the corners excuse.
And you could do it at the Yum Center, right, down in Louisville.
Well, yeah, that's not a problem of where they could do it. It's just doing it. I think it's ridiculous that series is not happening. It is just absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see. But how soon could that happen? I know that basketball is a lot easier than football, but are they any closer?
Yeah. It'd be fun to get the Bourbon Bowl back in football, wouldn't it?
That'll never happen. Well, no, that'll never happen. That will not happen, especially if there is
the Alliance.
Yeah, but first thing that comes out of the Alliance is a game between the SEC and the Pac-12.
Yeah.
How the hell does that happen?
Yeah. You could do well, you're going to have Indiana Louisville the next couple of years in football after the Cincinnati series is over. That'll be kind of cool.
That is funny because when that game was scheduled, Louisville was a very good program and Indiana was not. The roles will be reversed when those games are actually played.
Yeah.
When does that happen? Is that 2 years from now?
2 years. 2023, they open at Lucas Oil.
So opening up against the Cardinals in 2 years.
And then they go to Louisville in 2024, and then they come to Bloomington in 2025. It's a 3-year series. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Will Louisville get back to being – will anybody get back to being something in the ACC?
Yeah.
That's another thing. All right, this North Carolina thing, it drives me insane. They're not a top 10 team. I don't care. They got a great quarterback. So what? Indiana's got a great quarterback. Why aren't they considered a top 5 program? Indiana plays in one of the toughest divisions in all of football. North Carolina doesn't even play in one of the toughest conferences in football. They play, as a matter of fact, they play in one of the weakest, if not the weakest. They play in the weakest Power 5 conference without even question. Without question. Weakest Power 5 conference in football. There's nobody there but Clemson.
Yeah. FSU and Miami are down, and
how does that happen, man? How can those teams be down so long, Kevin? You covered Miami. All that talent in Florida that Top Allen is getting and cultivating and other teams. How can Florida State and Miami and Florida, all three, continue to be down like they have been?
Well, I think what happens too is, you take a look in the 1990s and they pretty much had a monopoly on the state. Now you've got UCF, you've got FIU, you got FAU, you've got all these schools from throughout the country coming down there and poaching the talent and getting the talent. I mean, Amari Cooper was from South Florida, and it's about making the right evaluations too. I just don't think that they're making the proper evaluations. I mean, Tom Allen went down and got Tywan Mullen. You think FSU or Miami would be killing for a player like Tywan Mullen now? But what Tom Allen saw in him was the great coverage skills, the great speed. But those other guys, he's 5'10". He's not big enough. He doesn't fit the mold. You know what I mean? We need a 6'3" corner that's slower, but he's 6'3". You know what I mean? And that's the mindset that Miami has to erase. You know, you just got to evaluate better. You got to who's the best player, regardless of putting him in a box of size and so forth and everything like that. And that's been a big problem too. There's been a lot of misevaluation down to the last 15 and 20 years, both at Miami and FSU, going by stars instead of going by, using your eyes. And that's happened in Indiana basketball too, right? A lot of misevaluation.
Absolutely.
In the Archie Miller era, a lot of misevaluation.
Well, that started with the Archie Miller era.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the misevaluation.
And that's happening in Miami and in Florida State, football. It's, guys just really, not doing their homework in terms of recruiting, and looking at the whole picture, not just, going on a website and.
Well, sometimes you don't have the ability. Sometimes some people that are in coaching simply don't have the ability to see talent. They don't know what talent really is, other than the Joe Blow off the street. Oh man, that guy looks good. Well, anybody can see somebody that looks good, but what can you see past that? What attributes do they have? What
do they love football? Do they love football, or do they love being a star? Do they love
or whatever sport it is? Do they have the self-drive? Do they want to be better?
Yeah.
Are they wanting to be a part of a team and something, or are they center? There's just all kinds of things to look at. Hey, we got to take a quick break. We got to be back with more to finish it out. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, of course, brought to you by the great folks from Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Stop by or Alpha 65, I-65 down there in Clarksville. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans. I would really like to find out if Jalen Hood-Schifino was paid for his appearance with those people.
Why? Because he's not returning phone calls? That's what I heard.
Well, I can't discuss it here, but
Jalen Hood-Schifino. Tubby Smith going back to Rep Arena.
For what?
High Point is playing Kentucky on December 31st. I just saw that. I just tweeted it out or retweeted. Good old Tubby. 10 loss Tubby. Tubby Smith. I like Tubby. Tubby's not a bad guy.
Wow, what? Tulane now playing at Oklahoma as home team.
Yeah, because of the hurricane, yeah.
Man, good thing Kevin was here today, right? Because what would have happened if he wasn't?
Well, I would have had to
ramble for 2 hours.
No, I would have lined up guests.
Yeah, that's true. You would have done something about it.
I knew Kevin was, and that we were in safe, capable hands.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Tuesday. Man, it is going to be a spectacular rest of the week. We've got through that little hot spell, Kevin. It was pretty hot and humid, but that's gone, baby. Low 80s, Chamber of Commerce weather across the board.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah,
College football.
Tomorrow will be September. A month that Neil Diamond made famous, right? September morning.
Or Green Day. When September ends. So, but we got a ways for that because September hasn't begun yet, but it begins with a bang this weekend as week 1 of college football takes place, man. Hey, we haven't talked about any of the other games. Who are some of the other big games that are happening this week?
Minnesota on Thursday night, I think will be interesting. I think that's going to be an interesting game.
Before I forget, you can watch Big Ten games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this year.
Yeah. No, it's
kicking it off.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good, interesting week 1. I think that Ohio State-Minnesota game is going to be curious because it's in Minnesota. You got PJ Fleck, Mr. Row Your Boat. And they had kind of a down year last year. They had a lot of COVID issues, but they've got Tanner Morgan back. They're going to be at home, so it'll be a good crowd. And Ohio State will be breaking in a new quarterback, C.J. Stroud. And Ryan Day apparently is going to shave the beard today. He was wearing the beard, but he's superstitious. He wants to be clean shaven based on his success his first 2 years as coach. And I wouldn't be too superstitious if I had the talent at Ohio State. I think beard or no beard, you're going to do just fine, Ryan Day.
Yeah, man. Ted Lasso's doing fine with the beard, so I don't understand why Ryan Day couldn't make the beard happen. But, I am looking forward to just watching some game. Unfortunately, I don't get to watch games because being at a game, and covering a game, it doesn't just take that 3 hours. There's the hour before, there's the 2 to 3 hours after. It's a 7-8 hour. One game is like an 8-hour deal.
Yeah.
If you're covering it,
it's a long day. But my alma mater, Miami, is going to be playing at the same time Indiana, Iowa. They're going to be playing Alabama, and it's probably a good thing I'm not going to watch that because I would be probably frustrated and throwing things at the TV if watching Alabama score touchdown after touchdown against. But you never know. Like, it's a new season, you never know. And Eric King for Miami is a pretty talented guy. Like Michael Penix coming off in he tore his ACL in December. He's back. So it's amazing how these kids now with modern medical technology. I mean, an ACL used to be a year, 15-month injury. Now these kids are coming back so quickly. It's amazing.
All right, Minnesota. Ohio State is at Minnesota. Number 4, Ohio State. They're a 14-point favorite. Everybody expects Ohio State to cover that. I think Ohio State wins the game. I don't know that they cover the spread.
You would take Minnesota plus 14, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points. Road, a road.
First game, quarterback.
Dog, 14 points, home dog. I think that would be a pretty good play. There'll be a lot of emotion in that stadium, and they'll do a good job. I mean, Morgan is a veteran quarterback, and they've got, Muhammad Ibrahim, who's, best running back in the Big Ten last year. They did lose Bateman, wide receiver. Do they have enough dynamic guys at receiver? Chris Altman-Bell is a pretty good player. So, I mean, they've got some weapons on offense. Can their defense hold up, though? Remember last year, Minnesota played Michigan, and for as bad as Michigan was, Michigan went in there and they thumped them, Minnesota. That first game of the season. So, that's the other thing too. That shows you the difference between the power in the Big Ten East and the Big Ten West too, as well.
Let's see. North Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech. I don't know what Virginia Tech has, but if they have anything, if they had something, give me something. I want to take Virginia Tech. I hope North Carolina loses every game this year. They've just got me angry.
Why do they have you angry? Because of
because they're overrated. Because they're overrated. They are not. They're not even probably a top 20 team.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw them in the top 5 last year, and it made me sick. Sick to my stomach.
Coach, yeah.
That is irrelevant. That does not make North Carolina a good team. They're not a top 5 team.
They've got a pretty dynamic quarterback.
Notre Dame's a great church. That does not make them, Rome.
Yeah. Notre Dame's got FSU, by the way, Florida State on Sunday night.
All right. So, we got to go in order. North Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech. Does Virginia Tech have anything?
I mean, Justin Fuente is a good coach, decent coach, enough coach.
All right. I don't know enough about that game to take, so I'm not going to screw with that one. Penn State is a 5.5-point underdog at Wisconsin. I'm all over Penn State on this. I'm not. Wisconsin didn't show me much last year. They lost at home to Indiana with a backup quarterback. Penn State is good, is arguably with Indiana as the second best team in the Big Ten, period. I'm taking Penn State. They got off to a horrible start last year with that loss to Indiana, put them on a skid where they lost their first 5 games or 4 games, whatever it was, until they lost the rest, or they won the rest of their games after that. But I'll take Penn State and the 5.5 points at Wisconsin.
Another new offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcik from Texas. Remember last year they had the new offensive coordinator from Minnesota that didn't work out so well, Kirk Shiraka. But Sean Clifford, I mean, you should have Elton on this week. Sean Clifford is that kind of an up and down camp from what I've been told through Elton, and so that'll be interesting too. He throws picks, you know what I mean, and you throw picks on the road, doesn't always spell for good things happening. So I might. I think Wisconsin, and I think Graham Mertz. He had that great first game, then he got COVID. What kind of quarterback is he? Is he really? And I'm going to be writing actually on my Big Ten column about breaking down who I think are the 5 best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and you'll know my number 1. It's not being provincial; it's just fact that Michael Penick is, the best quarterback coming into the season. I don't think there's any doubt.
Fresno State. How about Fresno State? Our buddy Kalen DeBoer with the Bulldogs. They go visit number 11 Oregon, but they're getting 20 points. I know they won pretty big last week, I think. Fresno State did. And I love Kalen DeBoer. I don't know what offensively they have, defensively, but man, that's a lot of points to give Kalen DeBoer.
Oregon's a pretty complete team, though. They've got a dynamic pass rusher. I forget his name, Thibodeau, and Mario Cristobal, one of my classmates, University of Miami, doing very well up there in Oregon. The guy Miami should have hired, won a Pac-12 championship, and I think up there and Oregon's a more complete team. But Fresno State will probably score some points against them.
Well, yeah, but all right. Can they stay within 20?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, no.
That's a lot of points to give Kalen DeBoer, man. His teams put up points. That's what they do. They may lose 45 to 35, but
that's the thing. I mean, you can put up points, but you might lose 50 to 30. You don't know. Yeah.
I don't care. Well, I do care there because
49 to 28.
As long as they get within 20, it's all I care about. Let's see. Oh, how about it? Speaking of your Miami Hurricanes, they're hosting the Alabama Crimson Tide at 3:30.
Are they hosting, or is that
Alabama?
I thought that was a neutral site game.
Well, it's a Chick-fil-A game.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta, yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Alabama, 19.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I'll take Alabama.
So Miami is getting as many points against Alabama as Fresno State is against Oregon, but minus half a point.
I love my Canes, but I'll still take Alabama in that one.
Yeah, all day long. Cincinnati is hosting Miami of Ohio. See, Cincinnati is not going to be tested. Now, they're also going to be able to run their offense, defense, probably without a lot of difficulties. I don't know if that's better or not better. I asked Kalen or Nick Sheridan about that. I wish I should have had John pull that clip up about opening against on the road in this tough scenario versus, say, against a Miami of Ohio. And he said it gets your attention. It sharpens your awareness. So there you go.
Left.
We got
you got to get my prediction for the Iowa-Indiana game.
What is it?
Indiana 23, Iowa 20. Charles Campbell will win the game with a 45-yard field goal with 6 seconds to go.
So they're not going to get over the 25-point mark.
No, they're not. 23-20.
Yeah, I'll have probably a different prediction at the end of the week, but got that down. 23-20, Kevin's got Indiana winning. Hey, brother, thanks a lot as always. It was fun.
All right. Gotta run.
We'll be back to do it all again next week with you, but we'll be back tomorrow to do it. Probably have Dylan Sent in, Kyle Neddenrip, Bob Kravitz, plenty more. Hear from some more Indiana players. We haven't heard from Michael Penick. We've got plenty of stuff to get to you. Go to thehoosier.com. It's your last day for 80% off. It's only $168 a month. There's a story up right now about Noah Clowney's visit to Indiana and how that went. Kevin, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys more importantly than anything. And to John, the producer, as well. Go out and have yourselves a great day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.